3, 2, 1, roll that soundtrack. Make it louder. Yeah, much louder.
No. It's okay.
Okay, sorry.
So on my side, quiet.
Whoa.
That was
That was cool. New intro.
good.
DJ. Hare Krishna, and welcome back to the Bliss Podcast, episode. Please forgive me for my offenses. 18 or 19? I don't know. I've lost track.
19.
Time flies when you're having fun. So, how are you, Prabhu? Sorry. Where are my manners? I'm your host, Maitreya Rishi Dasa, and I'm here with His Grace, Purajit Prabhu, the founder of the Bhaktivedanta Lives in Sound Society, the organization from whom you're listening to this podcast from. How are you, Prabhu?
Very good. Hare Krishna.
It's a contradiction. You can't cough and say very good at the same time. Coroner is... the coroner has entered the Bliss Temple. So, let us know in the comment section how you're dealing with coroner.
That was a joke, by the way.
Yeah, we're not dealing from coroner, don't worry. But, coroner still is prevalent here in La Linea. So let us know how you're all dealing with coroner in your various places of residence. And let us know how you liked our podcast that we filmed 2 weeks ago now about was that 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago on coronavirus. And let us know if you watched that and what you think about that. So, on this week's episode of the Bliss Podcast, we're going to be going over some Bliss news, some updates. Oh, we have even like a new sound. So that's something you're going to be hearing again, that lovely sound for the Bliss news when that comes in. Then we also have, the main topic of the podcast will be about Mayavada philosophy. The philosophy that we are all gods. And, it's a kind of a nonsense.
And why is it bad?
Well, it's bad because obviously we're not gods.
We're going to explain why is it bad.
Ah, right. Okay, we are going to explain why is it bad. Yeah, so stay tuned to understand why you are not God. Krishna is God's, and you are a little minute part and parcel. You can never be gods. Any comments before we start the podcast?
Hare Krishna.
That is the best comment. So, on this, let's play the soundbite. Bliss news again. I want to hear that sweet sound. Very dynamic. Bliss is dynamic. Always.
Sorry, that was not the sound. This is the sound.
Okay, so welcome to the Bliss News. Today we're going to be what has been happening in the Bliss News?
These jingles, they're very how do you say, very playful. They jump out of the they just play on their own. They're alive. These jingles are spontaneously alive. They want to play for Krishna nicely.
Raganuga jingles.
They're competing between each other. Who's gonna play for Krishna?
So this is the Bliss. This is the Bliss News jingle that just played. So now we're going to be talking about the things that have been happening.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Just you don't forget. This is the Bliss News jingle. Oops. I played the wrong one. Okay. Now.
Okay, that is definitely the Bliss News jingle. They can be with the jingle. So what is happening in the Bliss? We are locked in because of the coronavirus, like we just mentioned. So our social media presence has gone down significantly. So we apologize for all of you Bliss fans who are missing out on the daily content that we're usually posting. But in this connection also, you may have noticed that we didn't have a podcast posted for the last week, and that is due to the current situation of corona. We don't have any access to the usual steady Wi-Fi. In Gibraltar, there's the airport, They have the local airport in Gibraltar across the border, and there's very nice, consistent Wi-Fi there, very strong. And because Gibraltar is locked down as a result of the corona infection, we can't go there. So we're forced to go to the local La Linea McDonald's, which is situated, maybe we even have a jingle to express our disturbance at having to go to the McDonald's. So yeah, that
was kind of sad, no?
Yeah, I kind of had the clown vibe. Yeah, so I expressed how I feel about having to go there. Also, we sit there and we have to look at the airport where we could be getting nice Wi-Fi, but actually we're getting very choppy Wi-Fi at the McDonald's. So it times out every 30 minutes, which means that, being that it's also very slow, we can't upload a full podcast in the time that we have there on the Wi-Fi.
But Maitreya Rishi Prabhu came up with a genius idea. He chopped down the last podcast into small little files and sent it to Makanchi Prabhu to Iceland. Makanchi Prabhu put it all together in Iceland because he has a good connection there. And he most likely, by now, hopefully, Krishna bless his soul, uploaded the last one. So the last podcast was called Useless Paper Money, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So if you missed that one, please listen to it. Now it should be already online. What else do we have?
Well, there were some articles you uploaded, your good self uploaded about paper money on the Bliss website.
Yeah?
Yep. Oh yeah. They're there.
It's on it?
Confirmed. Guarantee. I'm not cheating the people. I promise. If you go on the Bliss website, you will find at least 2 articles about the previous podcast that doesn't exist as of, well, maybe it does exist now, but so, and we also have a new YouTube video, which you can find on the Expand the Bliss channel, called, My Buddies Can't Serve Anyone.
Really? That's how you call it?
Isn't that how I was meant to call it?
It was called Spiritual Life.
Spiritual life means service. That was the title.
Well, that isn't the title now, but okay, so title is pending. Whatever you see, just replace it with what Puruja Prabhu just said. But you can find you can find that video there on YouTube where Puruja Prabhu is giving a very nice smash to the Mayavada philosophy in connection with this week's topic. So if you want to get some extra nutrition for your spiritual knowledge, and you can go there on our YouTube channel and hear. Also see, it's like a compilation of movies. Maybe you've seen the Who is Crazy movie, which you can also find somewhere deep on the Bliss channel, and that's also a nice movie created by Puruja Prabhu. So I highly recommend seeing both of these videos. And in terms of Bliss news, of content, I think that's about all. Do you have anything else, Prabhu, maybe we can add?
Do we have any feedback from our friends, listeners, from 1 or 0.5?
Maybe the half a person that's been listening to our podcast has some feedback, but I personally haven't seen any feedback, no.
How does it work, this? Because I know that you like to go to the statistics and check out the how does it work there?
What specifically?
What people like to listen from our podcast, the beginning, the middle, or...
Well, I can't go that in depth, but I can see how many people don't want to listen to it at all. You can see how many people stop listening after a certain amount of time, which is, less than half, so that's kind of good. So, it's like, anyway.
So how many listeners do we have?
Well, we get about 100 views or so 27 people stop listening, so that means that mathematics is not exactly my strong point, but I think that's 73. So 73 people are listening. That's fairly good.
And the 23, what they do?
23, I don't know, they go and become Mayavadis.
We should do a podcast on these 23 people.
Right, okay. Try and get inside the lives of the unfortunate 23. So, yeah, there's no feedback from the 73. Please put in the comments to this particular part of the podcast and you haven't already logged out. Put your feedback in the comment section. We're very much open and we very much would like to hear your feedback. If there's anyone out there who's listening, we would like to know. And then we can also have inspiration for ideas for the podcast and maybe stuff that we can add or stuff that should be taken away. I mean, we've had many suggestions, adding Prabhupada's, Srila Prabhupada's audio or so many things. So we appreciate all the feedback there. Aside from that, we haven't gotten so much feedback. So in terms of Bliss News, in terms of content in the podcast, I think that's about all. Thank you for listening to the Bliss News. So, okay, thank you for listening to the Bliss News again. So now, okay, that's it's getting out of control, the Bliss News. So, this week, Mayavada philosophy. Prabhu, what is a Mayavada philosophy?
Mayavad philosophy basically says that we are all God.
What? Are we not all God? I mean, I heard from everyone that we're God. This whole, everything, we're a part of everything, man, and everything is God. So I'm also part of that everything. Therefore, I'm also God. Come on, that's just logical. That's what I can see.
Yeah. So this philosophy was introduced by Shankaracharya Swami, who is the incarnation of Lord Shiva. This has been confirmed in the Padma Purana. Lord Shiva says that I will take birth in Kali Yuga to propagate Voidist philosophy in the garb of the Vedas, to confuse the materialistic people. So it is a very, you can say, very dangerous philosophy, because the roots of our material entanglement in this world is this very mentality that I am God, I am controller, I am enjoyer. See, God, if we want to specify a little bit more, is not just a guy with a white beard sitting and punishing the sinners and creating the world in 7 days. Although that is also part of God's definition or description, and that He is the creator and so on and so on. But from Srila Prabhupada, we get to know that God is also the enjoyer. In other words, He enjoys, just like we enjoy nice things. God also has that propensity to enjoy, and actually, He is the only enjoyer. We're not the enjoyers. He is the supreme enjoyer, or the only enjoyer. And when we understand this point, then we supply enjoyment to Him. That is called devotional service, or bhakti. Bhakti is not some kind of a vague concept, just like they have the bhakti festival, right? So bhakti, they think bhakti means love, any damn love, any sentimental love. I love you, you love me, okay. No, bhakti means to supply sense gratification, transcendental sense gratification to God, Krishna, Ishvara. He is the supreme controller, but He's also the supreme enjoyer, Purusha. So we are falsely thinking that we're the enjoyers. People think, I enjoy in this way and that way. And even when they come to Krishna consciousness, they come with this mentality that I am the enjoyer. I enjoy this Krishna very much. So that mentality, we must purify it. We're not the enjoyers, but we're eternally subservient to Krishna. We're servants. And this is not something bad. This is good, actually, because service is something that is actually very enjoyable to us. The real enjoyment to serve. Just like they say, it's good to receive, but even better to give. They say something like that. They say giving is even more better than receiving. So many people, they understand this principle that, receiving is nice, but is not so nice. Simply enjoying it. If you can share, just say if you can share the Bliss podcast, share is even more enjoyable than to get something. So that is kind of like a spiritual quality we have, that to give, to serve. And when we dovetail this quality in Krishna's service, if we try to please Krishna, who is the supreme enjoyer and the supreme controller, our supreme father and everything, then we please not only Krishna, but also everyone else. He is the root of all existence. Everything is coming from Krishna. And everyone is coming from Krishna. So just like if you water the roots, automatically all the branches and leaves are nourished. Similarly, if you please Krishna by chanting His name, by offering Him nice foodstuffs, by worshipping Him on the altar, like that, so many different ways you can serve Krishna, then everyone becomes pleased. So long we have this mentality that why should Krishna enjoy? I am also enjoy. There's no question of also. Krishna is the only enjoyer, and we can only enjoy when Krishna enjoys. That is spiritual pleasure, spiritual enjoyment. So these Mayavadis, the Mayavad philosophy says that no, you are also God, equal to Krishna. And ultimately, because we all God, none of us really exist as an individual. This is how they deal. Because if everyone is God, then there is no meaning to God. Just like if everyone is a president in the country, then there's no real value in that post of a president. So the Mayavadi, they try to get away, philosophically, from this awkward position of establishing everyone as God by saying that the individuality, just like right now you're hearing me because you're individual, and I am an individual. You're receiving some information from me because you're not me. You can you can write a feedback because I am not you. That's why we're asking for feedback, because we're individual. This is how we enjoy also through individuality. So they try to deny it. They say, oh, that's his ego. If you think I am separate, so that's an ego. So they say everyone is God. We just simply forgotten that we're God, and through some mystic process or through some speculation, through some yoga, meditation, we merge with God and we all become God. So that is their philosophy.
Now, you mentioned that the philosophy is coming from Shankaracharya, but Shankaracharya is a kind of philosopher. There's two schools of thought, right? There's the Vaishnava school of thought, and then there's the Mayavad school of thought, and the difference is that one believes in a personal supreme controller and the other believes in impersonal everyone as some kind of spiritual effulgence. But both of the schools of thought take information from the Vedas, the books of knowledge called the Vedas. So, and specifically, most prominently, the Vedanta Sutra. So, one philosopher has his view on the Vedanta Sutra, and another philosopher has his view on the Vedanta Sutra. How can one school of thought say that he has the correct understanding of some philosophical treatise like the Vedanta Sutra?
Actually, there is no such a statement in the Vedas that the jiva, or the minute living entity, can become God. There is no such a statement. There are portions in the Vedas that describe the living entity. They describe the absolute truth as impersonal, and that we also accept because, from one point of view, God is impersonal. Namely, He doesn't possess qualities of a material, limited personality. In our experience, we see that when we speak of individuality or personality, it is limited. Just like I am limited, I am confined to this body. My so-called individual desires are conditioned by the culture, by the upbringing, by nationality, right? The Buddhists, for example, they say that your ego, your sense of identity is just many concepts together, right? So you have to get rid of all these concepts, conceptualize. You have to stop conceptualizing. So that is, for example, the Upanishads. They describe, in most part, the Upanishads describe God as impersonal. But they never say that this is the ultimate, or that God has no transcendental personality. That is never denied. So when Krishna comes here, he exhibits his transcendental personality, his Satchit Ananda body. Krishna's body is full of knowledge, eternal, and full of bliss. It is not subjected to the material laws of nature. So that is a great science, and this knowledge is revealed to a devotee. One has to render service. This knowledge doesn't come automatically just by speculation or logical arguments. This knowledge is revealed by service. If we render a little devotional service, then this transcendental personal nature of Krishna is revealed to us. So we understand his transcendental personality. So, Sripad Shankaracharya, he purposefully misinterpreted the Vedas to bewilder the living entities. That is why I mentioned that shloka from the Padma Purana. It is mentioned specifically that he comes with the purpose to bewilder. Shankaracharya is the incarnation of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the greatest Vaishnava, is the greatest devotee of Krishna. Why he comes like that to bewilder? This is on the order of Narayan, of Krishna. Krishna tells him, you do like that. And why is that? Because Krishna simply fulfills the desires of these tiny, minuscule living entities. We wanted to come here and play God, so Krishna manifested this material world where, his tiny little children can play like on a playground. Oh, I am God, I am the enjoyer, I have nice iPhone, I have nice bank balance, I have nice car, okay, And when they become tired of this, they come back to him. So some of the living entities, they want to stay here for a long, long time. That is why they need a philosophy that will keep them entrapped in the clutches of Maya for a long, long time. Lord Chaitanya, who is also Krishna himself, who came 500 years ago to start the Sankirtan movement, said that if anyone hears this Mayavad philosophy, he will not be able to understand Krishna consciousness for thousands of births. It is so contaminating. So that is why we are very much against this philosophy. Our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada came to the Western world. Every day we pray, Nirvishesha Shunnabari Paschatya Srila Prabhupada came to kick out all this Mayavad and Voidist philosophy by establishing the positive, complete, full explanation of the absolute truth as personal, sentient, individual, and loving. That is Krishna.
Yeah, that's a good point that you brought up, that Prabhupada came to take away the Mayavad philosophy from the Western understanding, because that's if you look at like any kind of modern spirituality, even some practitioners of bhakti nowadays, they also, this Mayavad philosophy permeates everywhere. This kind of subtle, even if it's not blatant, it's like a subtle teaching that's actually that you are the important parts. That you are the self is the most important. First of all, you take care of yourself. The self is the important part, and God. If God is anything, that's kind of like a vague concept. Mostly have compassion for other people, and focus on water the root, and the root is the self, so to speak.
Yes, it's very tricky, because outwardly the Mayavadis, they very much emphasize service to others. Which, of course, we as devotees, we also hold as, important. We have to serve others, other living entities. So we serve them Krishna Prasadam, we try to educate them about Krishna consciousness, and we try to create farm communities, protect the cows, and so many things. Fight drug addiction, promote vegetarianism. This is all included in Krishna consciousness. These are not separate, so to speak, agendas. If one becomes Krishna conscious, automatically all the good qualities that develop in him. But this point of surrendering to Krishna exclusively and making Krishna the essential aspect of one's life, this is always a controversial point. Nobody likes to hear this. It is not so pleasing to hear that Krishna is Godhead, that you should surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. See, we don't like to hear such absolute statements, because that kills our illusion that we are that Supreme Personality. So the Mayavadis, they take advantage of this diseased kind of a mentality, and they try to ignite that diseased mentality by saying, we should serve others, because the others are also God. They say like that. We are all God. Why should Krishna be special? We are all God, and you are also God. See, so typically a Mayavadi will say that you are God, you are the same God, you've simply forgotten that you're God, and the aim of spiritual life is to revive your memory of being God. And since you are God and I am also God, so you give me $20 because I have taught you this. People like to hear this. This is most intoxicating for the conditioned soul, to hear that he is God. The materialists also, they take advantage. Like you have all these commercials to buy, new iPhone and new this and new that. I always say iPhone. I can't think of anything else. But people like that nowadays. So they also take advantage, the business people. They say, you are free, you are this, you are that, you awesome, man, you cool, with, new iPhone. That's how they sell you things. We like to hear this. So a so-called guru, Mayavadi, rascal number one, he will try to flatter you, speak in very nice, flowery language, glorifying you, and so on. Very pleasing words, emphasizing all this mundane philanthropy. We have to respect others, we have to serve others, we have to be polite, and try to invoke the mundane sentiments, because we have mundane sentiments. We have no sentiment for Krishna. Krishna is a question mark. But we love our family. See, even a dog, he loves his family. You see, so the Mayavadis, they try to invoke these mundane feelings, and then people think that, I am very spiritual, while they basically experience the same feelings as dog has. And this is how the Mayavadis, they become prominent. So when a genuine preacher of Krishna consciousness comes on the scene, he seems very rough, because he speaks the plain truth. The spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, is like a doctor. He's not an entertainer or a paid actor who's crying because he gets paid. He is a doctor. So a doctor's duty is to cure the disease, and sometimes a doctor must give injection. Right? That's pretty much all he does. He gives you injection or pill or a diet. Doctor comes to tell you that you have to practice some austerity if you want to cure your disease. So you must understand that you have a disease. You must understand, I am a very dirty person. I am very selfish, and I am ignorant, and I don't know what is the aim of life, and I feel like garbage. We should come to this position. If we still think, I am very awesome, I do everything is perfect, I am wonderful, and then there's no question of understanding anything. We go on thinking like this, birth after birth. These miseries in the material existence are the reminder of our subordinate position to God. Just like now, there's this virus, corona. It's a punishment, or you can say it's a mercy of Krishna. So we can realize a little bit of our subordinate position, that we're actually depending on so many things. We're depending on Krishna. See, the disease, all the governments have now combined together, fighting the corona. We must find the cure, and they cannot. You see? So Krishna is showing, I am here. I am the boss, all right? You remember me? I am the chief controller. You see? So it's an opportunity. Those who are a little sane, they understand, there's a higher power. Or we could say more specifically, there's a higher or the highest powerful Krishna. So it's an opportunity for us to surrender. So
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatari Shatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
So I'd like to thank Mac and Chopabu, dear Mac and Chopabu, for sending us this nice mridanga that the gypsies were just playing. If you heard them, they stole the mridanga, but it was nice while it was supplied to us. Thank you, Mac and Chopabu. So if sometimes the Mayavadis that we've been talking about in this podcast, they come in the dress of a devotee.
So isn't this kind of a racist with the gypsies? We're gonna go to jail.
No. Gypsies are a universal term.
Really?
They have gypsies, as far as I know, in every country.
Yeah.
All shapes, colors, and sizes.
So that's racist, no?
No, maybe like classist, maybe.
Okay.
I think it's okay. We're not saying they're bad. Gypsies, they're very nice. They play nice kirtan. It was alright. I have no complaint against the gypsies. So the devotees, sometimes they come in the dress of devotees, these Mayavadis. So it's a little deceiving because you think they're talking to you.
Come as Mayavadis?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because the dress of a devotee is attractive, and then they can bewilder you with
The
their...
Mayavadis dressed as devotees.
Oh, sorry, am I switched around?
Yeah.
My brain is switched around. Sorry. I mean to say the other way around, that they can appear as a devotee, but actually they're a Mayavadi. So this can be very deceiving because you think they're telling you about spiritual life, but actually...
They do.
Well, they tell you about spiritual life, but it's not really the real conclusion of spiritual life. You have some objection?
Yeah, spiritual life is anything, anything where spirit. But when we speak of Krishna consciousness, we mean Krishna conscious life, the specific. That's another thing about the Mayavadi, they speak in vague terms. When you hear from Srila Prabhupada makes it very clear and distinct. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He doesn't leave anything vague. That, you can, imagine whatever you want under this label. Now, it makes it very clear and distinct. Krishna is God. He's playing a flute. He has a color of the skin of a dark cloud. He's a yellow dhoti, garland, everything. There's nothing vague. It's very concrete. And similarly, the philosophy Prabhupada is very concrete and clear. Chant Hare Krishna, chant 16 rounds, like that.
He doesn't beat around the bush. Like, for example, if I was to now say that my Bible philosophy is it's okay. What's wrong? We're all God. I am you, you are me. How can you say, we're all energy? There's just energy, and me and you are energy. What's the difference between me and you ultimately? It's just illusion that makes us seem like we're separate personalities.
Yeah. So, this can be very nicely defeated, this whole philosophy. And as I said before, these material sufferings are the reminders of our subordination to the Supreme Controller, Krishna. So even for argument's sake, you are God. How is that you have forgotten? This question they cannot explain. You can ask this to any person who practices a form of spiritual life. You ask him, why are we here in the first place? Why we have come here? The Christians, they say, my grandmother, she ate some apple. Right? And that's why all of us, we have to suffer here, because she ate some apple crumble, some apple cake. Now we all have to suffer. This doesn't really explain it. Why are we here? Why are we going through this misery of material existence? People think that, this coronavirus or some war or some economic crisis, this is a great suffering. But from the viewpoint of the Vedic philosophy, Krishna conscious philosophy, this very material existence in a material body is suffering. You as a soul are Satchitananda, full of eternity, bliss, knowledge, eternal body. You have eternal body in which you are enjoying eternally with Krishna. The very notion of having a material body limited by material laws and inebriaties is suffering. And you're getting body after body, life after life. Sometimes human species, sometimes animal species. This is all described in the Upanishads and so on and so on. So we can ask, if you're God, why the hell are you conditioned? What kind of God is this, that he makes himself conditioned and suffers some coronavirus? God, the all-powerful, unlimited, all of a sudden becomes a person locked in his house, and the planet where he resides become contaminated by some nonsense virus. What is the reason for this? That doesn't make any sense. So this is how we can defeat that philosophy very nicely. If you're God, then you should be eternally God. And not that one time you forget that you're God. Then forgetfulness is more powerful than God. Then the illusion is more powerful than God. And then illusion is God. See, and then you come to an atheistic platform. God is illusion. So, that's why Lord Chaitanya says that these Mayavadis are more dangerous than the atheists. Because they're atheists, but they come in the dress of a spiritual person who is borrowing different concepts from the Vedas and twisting it and giving an atheistic conclusion.
Missing out Krishna. Spirituality minus Krishna is actually not spirituality at all. So, I have a conversation here by Srila Prabhupada, or a class by Srila Prabhupada, where, if my computer will turn on, my computer is under illusion. Okay, so Prabhupada here nicely smashes a Mayavadi questioner in his class. So Ravitinandan, a devotee, he's receiving the question from the man during the class, and he says, well, his question is that why must we do something to become God when we are already God? And Prabhupada responds with, you are not God, you are a dog. Just the opposite. Do you know what is God? Man, according to you, we are all parts of God in either language. Prabhupada, how are you God? God is the controller. Are you controller? You are controlled. Therefore, the controlled cannot be God. God means controller. Anyone who is controlled, he cannot be God. Anyone who, if one is controller, then he is God. Man, yes, but I am also part of this controller. Prabhupada, therefore, you are not absolutely controller. You are both controlled and controller. That everyone is. Just like you are controller in your family, but you are controlled in the office. Similarly, everyone is dualistic. He's controller and controlled. But if you find somebody that he's only controller, not controlled, that is God. Man, if God is the controller and I am part of God, then I'm a controlled part. He's agreeing. Prabhupada, yes, part of controller, Part of God means that you have got a little power of controlling, but that you are not absolute controller. Man speaks too faint to hear. But first of all, you have to ascertain whether you are an absolute controller or you are controlled. First of all, you answer this question: are you absolutely controller? Man: I am not. Prabhupada: therefore, nobody is absolute controller. He is controlled by the laws of nature. How is absolutely controller? You are controlled by death, you're controlled by birth, you're controlled by disease, you're controlled by old age. How you can become controller? So therefore you are not gods. And then applause follows because Prabhupada has absolutely smashed, this Mayavadi. So, they have a different definition of God, but if you define what God is, the controller, there must be some controller, then you come to this conclusion, a supreme controller, then you come to this conclusion that everyone is relatively, somebody is a controller, but he's also controlled, therefore he's not the absolute truth. So he's not the supreme controller, and therefore he's not God's. So it's nicely smashed in this way. If you actually define what God is, because like you said, they speak in vague terms, and therefore the Mayavada philosophy is kind of easy to convince people or mislead people, because if you speak in vague terms, then you don't have to necessarily make any concrete definitions to what you're saying, and therefore you can speak whatever nonsense and people won't be able to pinpoint exactly what is wrong with the philosophy. So if you know of any people who are disguising themselves as devotees but are indeed Mayavadis, put it in the comments section. Hopefully this video will help you sort out who is really speaking the truth and who's speaking nonsense.
Yes.
So, I think that about nicely, concisely wraps up this episode of the podcast about Mayavada philosophy, who's really speaking the right thing and who's speaking a bunch of nonsense. So, we have some outro music. I think we can roll that just about now.